Today we will be talking about 1857, the causes and some of the strategies that were used and the reason for failure. Hope all of you have enjoyed it and learned something from it. I am hoping to learn myself. Hello everybody. Just waiting for Mani to come. I have sent him the
Hello,
invitation. Hello Mani.
ma'am.
How are you?
Good, ma'am. How are you?
Doing well. Jobri, as well as we can. I always
As
qualify it
well as
with
we
that.
can, indeed. Anji,
As
Anji,
well as
Anji.
we
True.
can in this. So I'll start with something and then I'll ask you my first question. I always start this conversation on 1857 with this poem by Zahir Dehelvi. When he is describing 11th of May 1857, he starts with this. He describes the scene on the Yamuna Ghat, because Yamuna is where the Yamuna Ghat is where the soldiers come to. Oh, Mani has. Okay, he'll come back again. Yamuna Ghat is where the soldiers came under the Musamman Burj to talk to the Badshah and ask him to lead them against the British. So he starts his the chapter in Dastan-e-Ghadar, which is this book. In this book, when he starts the chapter with describing the scene of the people who have come for having the ritual bath, जो स्नान करने के लिए आए थे और जो झरोका दर्शन भी स्नान के बाद करते हैं, and the non-Muslims who had come just for the झरोका darshan to see the Badshah. And this is early morning. ये 16 रमजान है, 11 मई was 16 रमजान at that time. तो सुबह सब लोग अपना रोजा वोजा करके नियत करके सहरी करके बादशाह मुसम्मन बुर्ज में बैठा हुआ है एंड नीचे नहा रहे हैं, जो भी कुछ कर रहे हैं लोग. एंड ज़हीर दहलवी स्टार्ट्स विद दिस. सुबह हुई गजर बजा, मुर्ग सहर का गुल हुआ, करने लगे चमन चमन मुर्ग चमन नवागिरी, मस्जिदों खानका से शोर उठा सलात का, देर में जाके ब्राह्मण करने लगे हरी हरी. As the day broke, the alarm sounded and the rooster made its call. And in every garden, the birds chirped away their lovely songs. And from the mosque and the monastery, sounds of the benedictions emerged. And the Brahman went to the temple to invoke the Lord Hari Hari. So this is the atmosphere in which the soldiers come in. And now I come to you, Mani, with the question that what was the immediate cause that brought the soldiers from Meerut to Delhi? Can you describe that? And apart from that, not just the immediate, but the other causes also, because of which the soldiers come from Meerut to Delhi. I think you put on 4G. No, 4G. You put 4G, that will be easier. Till Mani is just to say, हाँ, आ गया, okay, good.
हाँ, सॉरी राना मैम, आज थोड़ा नेटवर्क का मसला है मेरे इस तरफ. वाईफाई भी बड़ा स्लो है एंड इवन माय 4G इज नॉट वेरी नॉट वर्किंग वेरी वेल. सो इसीलिए थोड़ा रुक रुक के बीच में हो रहा है. So can I just ask you to repeat the question again? I lost it in beach mein.
So I was saying that I described the scene of the Yamuna and the bathers and the Badshah sitting in the Musamman Burj, वो तस्बीह कर रहे हैं जब उनको ये खबर मिलती है कि सामने कुछ आग है, धुआं है, the toll gate has been set on fire, and he sends his sentries to find out, and they come and say कि कुछ जो I'm putting this in quotes, कि वो कहते हैं कुछ बागी आए हैं मेरठ से. तो ये बागी क्या अपनी शिकायत लेके आए थे? व्हाट वाज द इमीडिएट कॉज जो ये बागी लेके आए हैं अपनी पुकार क्यों गुहार रहे हैं बादशाह को?
हाँ, सो इसमें देखिए ऐसा है कि there have been several reasons why the revolt happened. Some which lie in the 19th century politics, which actually started from late 18th century onwards, और 19th century तक आते आते जो है बहुत कुछ हो चुका था. Some of the reasons have been, retrospectively created. कि मतलब हमने वो देखा और and keeping in mind our present understanding of politics plus our experience of the national movement, कुछ reasons हमने उस तरह से भी create किए, to fit with the nationalist narrative. So as far as we know, going by the documents of the time, there was an unrest which was going on for quite some time. एक तो उस जमाने का propaganda भी played a part in that, because the British, you see that this foreign company which has come in, which is very conscious about its foreign identity, so they come with their own ideas of enlightenment and all that, and then they see that, okay, these are the benighted heathens and we have a divine rule, or let's say that the white man's burden to educate these people. And so there's already this understanding of the revolt of the Indian society as being a backward society, and in fact people were described as Orientals, which is anyway a pejorative term. So the sepoys get to experience that in their day-to-day interactions, because they are the one who are interacting the most with the Europeans, given the fact that they had their European officer corps, which was whose orders they took. So there was already a building dissent for that being one reason. The other, of course, was many of these policies which the East India Company introduced, which were seen as as direct interference in our way of life. So कि इन्होंने जो एक ही तरह से हमें segregate नहीं किया है, तो how can upper caste sepoys and have a meal with somebody who is from a lower caste. So that all those considerations were also there. So they see that, with the coming of the English laws and sati and all of that, they think that, okay, this is a direct assault on our religion and on our way of life. That is another reason. Then of course, pay and benefits. Pay को लेकर भी बहुत मसले थे, because no matter how trained, how good a soldier you are, the fact remained that you could never rise beyond the rank of Subedar. उससे ज़्यादा आप बढ़ नहीं सकते हैं. Even if it's a cornet, an English cornet, which is like the lowest straight academy से निकला है, और उस ज़माने में actually क्या होता था, you had to buy commissions in the East India Company's army as well as in the British army. So you may be the son of a rich man, an Angrez zamindar, if we can use that term. So a landlord, you could just pay enough money and buy a commission East India Company की फौज में. जो है 20-25 साल लगा करके जो आके सूबेदार रैंक पे बैठा है एक इंडियन सिपाही, तो उसके सर पे somebody like बख खान फॉर इंस्टेंस, सो उसके सर पे जो है एक बहुत जूनियर सबऑर्डिनेट आके बिठा देंगे, एंड देन you are supposed to follow their orders, so who may not be very respectful towards your own experience, so they would come with their own understanding, because we are, we come from this and we have subjugated the locals, therefore we know what is right. So, एक तो promotions and benefits and all that, plus of course local caste restrictions भी थे, and इन चीजों को जो है बाद में बढ़ावा भी दिया गया था, because if you are a caste Hindu in those times, अच्छा इसको काला पानी हम क्यों कहते हैं? Why crossing the black waters was considered to be a great sin, है ना? Because आपने समंदर क्रॉस किया, मतलब आपकी जात गई, बिरादरी से बाहर हुए, हुक्का पानी बंद, ना किसी अच्छे घर में शादी होगी, and all that. So they were, as we know, East India Company sepoys, at least those from North India. I'm not talking about those from South India, but at least those from North India, they had these very strong caste prejudices. So Burma में भेजा जा रहा है, so it's a taboo thing because हमारी जात गई है. Once they come back, they are not accepted. So these grievances were there, and already there was so much rumor mongering. So आज के ज़माने में WhatsApp पता चलता है, उस ज़माने में ये उस जमाने में somebody will come into the so somebody will come into the cantonment and say कि अच्छा अंग्रेज जो है हड्डियों का पाउडर जो है मिला रहे हैं. पहले तो it starts with the grease cartridges कि rumor is spread that which is actually not a rumor that way, actual में हुआ था, but that again was very different. So when all these उस जमाने के muskets में And I think I had spoken to you about this when you were
Yes.
writing Shahjahanabad. हाँ, तो
Even in
उसपे
Dastane
मैंने
Ghadar, I have a very
even
big
in
long
Dastane-e-Ghadar.
note by you on the army and the.
Yes, yes, yes. Right. So, these many of these muskets that the Indian sepoys were using. तो उसमें एक होता था, वन वाज अ बिग कैलिबर राइफल होता था जिसको ब्रंसविक राइफल बोलते थे, उसमें खास करके. सो यू एंड देन बिफोर एनफील्ड राइफल इज द मोर फेमस वन व्हिच इज कॉल्ड, एक्चुअली द ऑफिशियल नेम वाज पैटर्न 1856. इंडियन ट्रूप्स वर एक्चुअली यूजिंग पैटर्न 1842 बिफोर दैट. So in दोनों में, Brunswick में and इसमें, so what had used to happen was the paper cartridges होते थे उस जमाने में. So you would put the powder, then you would put the bullet, and you would tie it down. एक end पे bullet होता था and the other end में powder होता था. So you have to shove it down, and because it was a rifle, it had grooves cut into the bullet. So it had to be rammed into the gun. वो रैमिंग कैसे होगा अगर बाहर आप ग्रीज लगाएंगे, some greasy material you have to put. So that used to be beeswax most of the time. But when pattern 1856 was being designed, and on an experimental basis in Britain, they started using cow fat, जो tallow बोलते थे, or pig lard. So charbi, either pig fat or cow fat. So they started using that. But it was again on an experimental basis. No Indian sepoy company actually handled a cartridge that was greased with cows and pig fat.
And that's
अच्छा, वो तो rumor निकल गया.
And you also told me that not too many Enfield rifles had come into India at that point of time.
Absolutely, yes. In fact, it was only one British regiment which had been issued the pattern 1856, the Enfield rifle, the 60th Regiment of Foot. So the King's Royal Rifles करके बाद में नाम पड़ा. So only that regiment had been issued that. No Indian regiment had been issued the Enfield pattern 1856. But rumor निकलना था तो निकल गया. And it started, circulating through all these different cantonments. So now sepoys, the moment, after the government had dispelled rumors, we have not issued that cartridge. Now they started suspecting कि अच्छा जो हमारे पुराने राइफल थे उसमें भी अब इन लोगों ने चर्बी डालना शुरू कर दिया.
Okay.
हाँ, तो ये भी उन्होंने कहानी बना दी. Because ये कंटोनमेंट में चलता रहता था. So there was absolutely no way to confirm that. And the moment जैसे आजकल होता है, so the moment you bust a fake news, the whole network, finds a way to continue with that, to perpetuate that fake news by coming up with a different version. अच्छा, अब इन लोगों को ग्रीस खुद लगाने के लिए दिया गया. Then they said कि अच्छा पेपर में इन लोगों ने कुछ किया होगा. अच्छा, when all of that did not work, फिर rumor फैला कि अब जो है आटे में, मैदे में जो है इन लोगों ने हड्डियां में bone dust इन लोगों ने मिक्स किया है. So all this was going on when it was this is actually the trigger. This whole rumor that starts because of these rifles. And then of course जबकि इनको दिया जाता है टेस्ट करने के लिए, and then they actually, the Meerut garrison was not given the pattern 1856. उनको फायरिंग ड्रिल के लिए बुलाया गया था with the pattern 1842 पुराने वाले राइफल्स के साथ. They refused to even touch that, saying कि अच्छा इसमें जो है प्रॉब्लम है. So, and the garrison commander was also, somebody, who was not very well, experienced in the ways of his men. So he thought that he's going to make a statement. So he, in fact, dismissed them, paraded them the next morning. उनके पैरों में जंजीरें लगाए गए. So this was a very public humiliation. And for the sepoys, many of whom actually had no role in that. एक दो लोगों ने किया, लेकिन पूरे 85 लोगों को जो है हटा दिया गया. They felt very humiliated, and that was a bigger thing because they realized that now that we have been cashiered out of the army, अच्छा हमें जेल में डाल दिया है, हमारी तो बहुत थू-थू होगी. How can we show our faces to our families? So on the spur of the moment, they come out the next morning, and the 3rd Bengal Native Cavalry, Bengal Light Cavalry, or 11th Bengal Native Infantry. तो ऐसे 3 regiments मिलके, as you know, the rest of the story is very familiar. They kill their officers, and and उसके बाद दिमाग में कुछ आता नहीं है, क्या करें, दिल्ली जाएंगे. So they come almost on the spur of the moment. They come and prop up Bahadur Shah, जिसका अगला पार्ट आप बताएंगी हमें कि क्या हुआ on that 11th May morning. So उस पे I will ask you to highlight on that. But this is basically the reasons that I stated. अब उस पे हम डिटेल में बात करेंगे बाद में as we go on. But I think 11th May का आप हमें बताइए सारे ऑडियंसेस के लिए what really happened.
11th में, as I said, के नीचे नहा स्नान हो रहा था, बादशाह ऊपर अपने बैठे वजीफा कर रहे थे in the Musamman Burj, and the Muslim nobles and the other general public had come for the Jharoka Darshan, when suddenly they saw smoke coming from the toll gate, and the Basha sends his soldiers to find out what is the matter, and they come and say कि वहाँ पे आग लगा दी गई है, and the जो bridge of boats है सलीमगढ़ के पास से, there are some cavalrymen coming from Meerut, and then they come and assemble under the Musamman Burj, and then they call out to him, and I'll just read. We'll come to all the questions later on, okay? We'll keep half an hour for questions, because the Mad Mughals have a question, so we'll keep all the questions for later. So they come and then they call out to him, ke Hazur Jahanpana, may you have a long life, you are the emperor of faith and world. And then they say ke हमने हमेशा, whenever there was a proclamation, जिसको कहते हैं मुनादी फिराना, जब मुनादी फिराई जाती थी शहर में, तो उसमें हमेशा पहले तो होता था खिलकत खुदा की, मुल्क बादशाह का, हुकुम बादशाह का. खिलकत खुदा की मतलब we are all creation of God, and then मुल्क भी बादशाह का है और हुकूमत भी बादशाह की है. ईस्ट इंडिया कंपनी के आने के बाद it became के खिलकत खुदा की, मुल्क बादशाह का और हुकुम कंपनी का. So they say कि हमने हमेशा we listen to the company because the mulk after all was yours, but now as you explained all the reasons you gave, so because of which they are disaffected, and they say कि हम दीन पर बिगड़ के आए हैं. That's what they say. कि exact words which Zahir Dehlvi says is कि हम दीन पर बिगड़ के आए हैं, and they ask him to lead them against the British. Now Bahadur Shah initially tries to reason with them and says कि मैं तो एक फकीर आदमी हूँ, अपने तकिए पे बैठा हुआ हूँ, मेरे पास तो कुछ भी नहीं है, पैसा देने को भी नहीं है तुम्हें तनख्वाह. And they say don't worry about that because we'll bring you the money for all that. But even then he sends his wazir and he calls the qiladar and he calls the residents, and they come and they start reasoning with them. And one very important dialogue here which this thing I like to repeat is that when जब Douglas और Fraser आते हैं, then Bahadur Shah says कि the religion should never be a cause of strife, and he says bigotry is a very bad thing क्योंकि इसमें सल्तनत पलट गई है. And so you please listen to them, because at that point of time it's the grievances are felt to be all mostly religious, कि भाई उन्होंने कहा ही है कि हम दीन पे बिगड़ गए हैं. So he says कि never ever upset people's religion because that can lead to a lot of strife, and इस पे सल्तनतें गिर जाती हैं. And eventually फिर वो then when Douglas and Fraser do not listen, then ये जो हैं, and Bahadur Shah does not let them go down over there because he says कि इनको कहीं मतलब he was scared that they would be harmed because सर पे कौन सवार था उस वक्त सिपाहियों के, so he doesn't let them go down, and then they try to go out into the city to close all the gates, but by that time these people had already been allowed through the Rajghat gate, and they come in, and then उसके बाद जो कत्लो गारत होती है कि दरियागंज में चिमन लाल the doctor is killed in and then और बाकी बहुत लोग मारे जाते हैं. He was a Christian, he had converted to Christianity, so he was one of the first targets, and they then start trying to, they kill most of the Europeans that they can find. They loot the Delhi Bank. They try to capture the magazine, but they're not able to because Metcalfe had already given instructions that in case they capture it, you blow it up. So Willoughby, who was the in charge there, he blows it up and they run off, and out of the 8 people there, 6 managed to escape, and 1 dies on the way to Meerut, I think, and the rest of the 5 are given Victoria Cross. And meanwhile, just nearby from the Telegraph Memorial, there are these 2 young boys, I think Pilkington, Benedish and Pilkington, I think the name. They managed to send a telegraph to Ambala that, this is what has happened here, and then they say, we are off, and they rush off. And again, there is a memorial there just in front of the post office, which says the telegraph which saved an empire, because that gives the British time to recoup, call their soldiers, and they come. And that is what happens. And then by the evening, the magazine is blown off, and as Ghalib writes, ye rastakhez beja hai, it's an unwarranted day of resurrection. And he says, kisi tarah hum sab so gaye. So everybody goes off to sleep, not away. And the one thing that I found very interesting is whether it is Ghalib or whether it is Zahir Dehlvi, they are using a lot of Quranic symbols and analogies. This day is called Qayamat ka din. मतलब जितने जैसे ये when Zahir Dehlvi is describing that day, he says सूरज सवा नेज़र पर सवार था, which is a sign of the day of resurrection. कि सूरज जो है वो हमसे a yard and above will be just a yard and a quarter above our heads. इतना नीचे आ जाएगा, इतनी गर्मी होगी, and that's how he's describing it. So that's again very interesting, the way everybody is perceiving it. So which then brings me to my question to you, because how did the use of propaganda, fake news, and rumor mongering incite passions and engineer dissent? Because we know that apart from the sepoys, a lot of criminals had also been released from jail. तो मेरठ से भी criminals आए थे, दिल्ली में भी कोतवाली से खोल दिए गए थे, and they are the ones who were leading the charge against the Delhi bank and looting and the people inside the मतलब शाहजहानाबाद में दुकानें बंद हो गई थी, इन्हें फिर मुनादी फिरवानी पड़ी और बादशाह को भेजना पड़ा one of his sons. So and just before another the thing के 12 मई को they take out a silver throne which is lying in a corner of the Diwan-e-Khas, and they dust it and they proclaim him the Badshah of Hindustan. कि अब इनके नाम पे हम लड़ेंगे. And he then appoints Mirza Mughal, who was his eldest surviving son at that point of time, as the commander-in-chief. तो then वहाँ से बात थोड़ी बिगड़ती है. So that is what my question is. How did the use of propaganda, fake news, and rumor mongering incite passions and engineer dissent?
So I touched upon this when I started off my explainer, जो आपने पूछा पहले. तो
इसको थोड़ा और डिटेल में बताओ.
हाँ, तो इसमें we see that our उस जमाने में this story about sadhus and fakirs visiting cantonments and spreading propaganda and inciting people to revolt. ये एक स्टोरी. अच्छा, एक दो जगह पे गए होंगे डेफिनेटली, बट उसके बाद द होल मैसेज गॉट कम्युनिकेटेड एज कि अच्छा दिस इज अ डिवाइन साइन व्हिच वी हैव सीन, and there's and then that gave the impression to the English later that this was pretty much an organized revolt. It was a pan-India conspiracy, which is actually a very 20th century understanding, late 19th century, early 20th century understanding of or retelling of the events of 1857. But as we see that the way fake news operates even today, what do we see, especially after this, to give you a very modern example, this whole coronavirus and Tablighi Jamaat ka jo connection nikala gaya. उसके बाद what do we see? We see a tremendous proliferation of fake news कि जो है vegetables पे थूका जा रहा है, nurses को जो है उनके साथ बदतमीजियां हुई हैं and all that. पानी में जो है इन लोगों ने ये किया है ताकि जो वायरस फैले. These exact things had happened back in 1857 as well. हालांकि उस टाइम पे the villains were the British, कि अंग्रेज जो है ये लेके आए हैं जो हमारा मजहब खराब करने के लिए जो है they are mixing even bone dust into our our food. अच्छा, हमारे पानी में जो है इन्होंने कुओं में जाके जहर मिला दिया है. So this was also a rumor which was spread. This chapati incident again, this was again a very modern retelling of something that may have been quite isolated, because we see the evidence is very shaky. Whatever evidence we get is actually post 1857. जिसपे somebody remembered 10-15 years later कि अच्छा मुझे याद आया कि मेरी उससे मुलाकात हुई थी, and he had told me this. So even the trial of some proceedings of the trials that had happened later, some of them military tribunals में, we see that the kind of evidence that came up is actually it was added on by embellished in later accounts. So this was definitely a propaganda of its time, and people have always remained somehow, strangely enough, separated by more than 160 years now. But Indian people have strangely been very gullible for fake news and propaganda. तो कुछ भी हम सुन लेते हैं, हमें लगता है कि अच्छा यही सही है ना? So इसमें in fact I'll like to take it a little further as well. So what happens in 1907 is actually this is the root of many of the stories of 1857, because what happens in 1907 is that's the 50th anniversary of 1857. अच्छा, इस पर बहुत जोर शोर से जो है उसका प्रोपेगेंडा होता है. So the British celebrate the fact that we defeated we put down this revolt. So they organize many of these, they prepare literature, plays and drama festivals organize होते हैं जिसमें जो है 1857 में जो है अंग्रेज को कैसे मतलब जो है बागी सिपाही they are plotting and they are killing and they are celebrating. और उसके जमाने के recordings में आप देखते हैं कि people actually they applaud the British audiences when they see that okay Indians are being beaten, they actually celebrate, and then they cry when the British are being killed. So you see that what is happening there, because that is also the time when two tremendous disasters had happened in India. 1907 se thik pehle. So one is the bubonic plague, which happens, comes from China and then spreads. Again, because of the involvement, some say, of Indian sepoys in the Opium Wars and who were stationed there in later period. So we see that, wahan se dheere-dheere jo hai, ye plague में भी we see that the British are constantly blamed. अच्छा ये थोड़ा सा problematic होगा, लेकिन फिर भी मैं कहूँगा कि some of these later icons that we celebrate today, like the Chapekar brothers, who assassinated the municipal commissioner of Pune, I think, Mr. Ran. तो 1897 में वो plague के दौरान, तो उसमें what happens is इनका, sorry, I have just messages आते रहते तो बड़ा disrupt होता है. So he is this thing is described as a British British induced disaster. कि अंग्रेज जो है, just like again the whole tablighi thing is we see a parallel there with the othering which happens कि the British have brought it कि ये जो है चूहे भेज रहे हैं. So अंग्रेज कहीं भी जाते थे, there are several instances of people being caught, they are being forced to show that भाई पूरा अपना जो है binoculars खोल के दिखाओ कि कोई pills लाके जो है कुएं में जहर मिला रहे हैं. So all those things even in that time which happened. Now that period the British were very worried कि पूरे पंजाब में disturbance फैल रहा था उस time पे, and in other parts of the country as well because of this plague and of this unrest which was happening. So the colonial administration was very worried that and they believed in all this कि भाई the 1857 का 50 years है तो इस time पे कुछ होगा. That also gives a handle to the Indian nationalists because उस time पे Europe में the situation was a lot of revolutionary activity was happening. So उसी time पे Savarkar is in London. So this is the coming together of many things at the same time. So that 1906-1907 period was considered to be the golden period of Indian nationalism abroad because वहाँ पे all the Russia, maybe there's a failed revolution of 1905. तो वहाँ से revolutionaries भागते हैं, Lenin वगैरह, they all come to Europe and many other Russian revolutionaries as well. Italian revolutionaries भी they are interacting. So India House in Britain becomes the melting point of these people and the ideas are exchanged. Madam Kama Stuttgart में जाके जो है national flag plant कर देती है. So all of this are happening at the same time. तो इसमें what we see that many of the stories that originally did not exist अब create किए गए कि भाई अजीमुल्लाह खान गए थे. That's a documented fact. 1854 में he went to England to advocate the case of Nana Sahib. उनका pension क्यों बंद हुआ, doctrine of lapse में उनकी जायदाद जो है जब्त हो गई. So he goes there. अच्छा उसका retelling होता है कि he went there because he was trying to create some trouble there and trying to get in league with Russia because the Russian Empire was at war with the British Empire at that time. Crimean War चल रहा था. So ये सब stories बाद के हैं. But it appeals to Indian nationalists as well. So what the British are doing from a very racist point of view. So for the British, 1907 tak, the understanding of Indians is that of a treacherous people. This is the term that is used very often, the treacherous Orientals. तो इनसे कुछ अच्छा निकल ही नहीं सकता. इसी propaganda को आपने, people like Savarkar, they, take it, use many of the colonial tropes, and then, he recirculates, refabricates it from a very Indian point of view. So essentially, it's a continuation of the colonial thing which is happening. So many of the stories, Chapati Wala and बाद में this, blaming Indian princess for having triggered a revolt. जैसे मंगल पांडे का किस्सा जब हमें सुनने को मिलता है. So what happens? Later on, we see that it is blamed on some agents of the Nawab, deposed Nawab of Awadh, Wajid Ali Shah के agents ने जाके जो है इनको जो है इनके दिमाग में जहर भरा. This is the story that we see. We see the story of Maulvi Ahmadullah Shah, who is even in Savarkar's account, he is referred to as the Mad Mullah. है ना? तो for the British, it was very difficult for them to imagine because coming from their cultural perspective, कि an Indian society is not like a European society, firmly organized and divided on religion. There are several layers. कि caste hierarchies होते हैं इसमें. So they thought that the Indian Brahmin or upper caste Hindu sepoys are incapable of functioning independently unless, of course, they are incited by some other authority. And then we also see that उसी time पे Muslim soldier is, or the Muslim, the Indian Muslim is projected as an evil influence. So you see in colonial narrative उस time पे भी कि a Hindu is gullible, but he has come under the machinations of the more crafty Mohammedan. So इसीलिए बिल्कुल उसका continuation आज भी हम देखने को पा रहे हैं. It's the same colonial British propaganda which is used today by so-called nationalists to denigrate their own people. So
so we are learning from history, na? अच्छा.
So इसीलिए बात की ये सब stories मिला करके image was created that it was actually the Muslims, who engineered this revolt.
The Mohammedan conspiracy, as they called it.
The Mohammedan conspiracy.
The Mohammedan conspiracy.
And people actually, they landed in the trap of the English because what the nationalist historians or, Savarkar was not a historian, but this propaganda was actually continued even during our national movement when we started building up icons like, Rani Lakshmibai and Nana Saheb, they are the ones as if, who really pulled the strings of the revolt. Jabki aisa nahi tha. It's actually the Badshah in Delhi because Delhi ke Meerut ke itne nazdeek the. And because we have to accept, and इसी में मेरा next part होगा आपके लिए, कि the Badshah, the Mughal emperor, people may not want to believe it today, but back in the 19th century and before that, till 1857, it was actually the Mughal emperor जिससे legitimacy पूरा derive होता था. Every functioning authority derived its legitimacy from the Mughal Badshah. The Mughal Badshah was not just, of course, he had no power, but he was still a spiritual head of the country, which is why, it was actually Bahadur Shah whom the sepoys looked up to. So, abhi aap mujhe bataiye, hum sabko, ki, this brings me to my question. Ki we have learned about the propaganda. But, what sort of an impact did this whole rebellion have on the syncretic culture of the cities, or many of these, courts that were affected. For instance, the court at Delhi, the court in Lucknow. And when I say court, I don't confine it to the court. I mean the whole kingdom, the people. Lahore maybe, the Sikhs have been defeated, but even then. So what sort of an impact do you think, this had on the whole syncretic idea? Pre-1857, post-1857, as you have studied the documents, what do you see?
मैं इसके ऊपर एक कोट तुम्हें एक इंसिडेंट बताती हूँ ऑफ 1857. सबसे पहले तो एज यू सेड कि दे ऑल कम टू द बादशाह. नाउ ये तो मैंने पहले ही कहा कि वहां जो मुनादी फिरती थी वो होती ही बादशाह के नाम थी कि खिलकत खुदा की और हुकूमत बादशाह की. सॉरी, खिलकत खुदा की, मुल्क बादशाह का. तो मुल्क तो पहले ही बादशाह का था. So it was he who was the sovereign, and the British were ruling in his name, which is why it was such a travesty of justice that they charge him in his trial of sedition against his own empire. And I think he was just too old, too senile, too shocked to be able to fight the case. How can you be seditious against your own empire? So sedition again is a gift of the British to us, that they are blaming somebody for sedition against his own self. But anyway. So to come back to that, during this time, there is a newspaper called the Delhi Urdu Akhbar, which was later on named after Zafar himself, which is being run by Maulvi Baqir, Maulvi Muhammad Baqir, and it was started in 1937. Now, initially 11th of May, because it was not printed daily, but initially when 11th of May, everybody is a little skeptical about the sepoys who suddenly appeared, and because, as I said, so many criminals were with them. So there's a general mayhem in the city, and everybody's obviously comfortable lifestyle is disturbed by what is happening. So the sympathy builds up over a period of time. So then on in June, on June 14th and as I said 16th में रमजान तो चल ही रहा था, उसी बीच में ईद भी होती है. And then Jama Masjid is a very pivotal point of all these activities. So suddenly at night on 14th of June, if I'm not wrong, the date is in some date in June. I think it's 14th. There is a poster that is stuck on all the walls of Jama Masjid, which exhorts the Muslims to side with the Christians because हम अहले किताब हैं, and not with the and not fight with the Hindus. And उसके बाद मौलवी मोहम्मद बाकर रातों रात वो अखबार हटा वो जो इश्तिहार थे वो फाड़ दिए जाते हैं, those things. And there is a strong belief that these were brought by somebody sympathetic to the British from the Ridge and obviously put there, because who would have put them there? So and then he takes out an editorial in his newspaper and says कि हम अहले वतन हैं, Hindu and Muslims, we have been living together for 1,000 years and हम अहले वतन हैं, and we have to fight together. And even there's one the thing I'm giving you from Delhi Akhbar, and the translation is by Professor Shiri Musfi. So Shiri यहाँ पर writes, this is Akhbar issue of 14th of June. Oh my, and this is again an appeal, Maulvi Muhammad Bakar. He says, "Oh my people, looking at the strategy and devious cleverness of the English and the overflowing treasuries, you may feel disheartened and doubt that such a people could ever be overcome. But those who are my Muslim brothers by faith, let them consider, if they are anxious and concerned out of worldly consideration, to look at their religious books, such as the Quran, the Tafsir and the Hadith, and those who belong to the Hindu Dharam, let them, by the light of their Gyan and Dharam, illumine their hearts and first see that except the Adi Purush, the primeval deity, nothing is permanent." So everywhere, and I've talked about it very often, that my friend and my class fellow Professor Zahir Hussain Jafri, I think he's the one who's done the maximum amount of work on 1857 in these recent years. So a lot of thesis, dissertations have been written under him on 1857, which I've had the privilege to look at, plus his own book. And he keeps talks about the fact that the flags that were used by the soldiers were also कि इधर अगर हिलाल है तो उधर महावीर है, which was the name for Lord Hanuman according to him in those days. These are the flags that they're using. So यहाँ तो this is the kind of unity that is prevailing amongst the soldiers. And then they try to break it by putting up posters like this. Again, the Basha intervened. फिर बकरीद आती है. Then again they have this rumor के, and there is this Keith Young who's writing letters. He's an advocate general who's writing letters to his wife in Shimla. Every day he writes a letter to her, and he says के, you know, the Basha is going to be in हमारे कब्जे में होगा. He will be in jail very soon. And the reason he gives is कि बकरीद is coming and we are trying to incite some kind of trouble, which was that he kept telling people that there will be, you know, cow slaughter during Bakrid. And the Basha and Bakht Khan, by that time Bakht Khan is the commander-in-chief, they are astute enough and they know, and they issue strict orders that nothing like this is going to happen. And they ask that all cows should be registered in the Thana so that nobody can you know, that nobody can, nothing is missing and there can be no rumors spread after that. So they prevent that. And he says, and he writes, if this continues, we can say goodbye to our imperial dreams. So this is the kind of atmosphere prevailing there. And then again, you have another piece. Just one sec. Let me just open it. Because my memory is not now so good because of various problems that I have. So I keep forgetting. So this is from George William Forrest, British historian, mentioned in the introduction of the State Papers soon after the end of the First War of Indian Independence. He says, among the many lessons the Indian mutiny conveys to the historian, none is of greater importance than the warning that it is possible to have a revolution in which the Brahmins and the Shudras, Hindus and the Mohammedans could be united against us. And so once they've learned the lesson, then they obviously learn from it and they make sure that it is not repeated. And then we come across terms like it's a Mohammedan conspiracy, it is they who led everybody astray. Bahadur Shah is tried, he's exiled, he's sent there. And then starts the, what is this, I'm sorry, messages come and I lose track. Then come this thing about the division on the basis of language. Suddenly you see that Urdu from being ke zabane Urdu hai Mullah, it becomes a language. You see this printing technology has come into India. Now the Bibles are being printed in different languages and being distributed. The census happens in which they start taking. So now there is a clear demarcation कि हम हिंदुस्तानी नहीं है, हम या तो हिंदू है या मुसलमान है, और हमारी जबान भी हिंदुस्तानी नहीं है, या तो हम उर्दू बोलते हैं या हिंदी बोलते हैं. So these are various small ways in which all this happens. And as these books that I had translated for City of My Heart, when they talk of, or even that book जो मिर्जा फरहतुल्लाह बेग ने लिखी है, all these books are written after 1857. And they're written, some are written from first-hand memory, some are written from secondary sources. But ये सारी जो है ना, जैसे मतलब these are perceptions. तो ये perceptions जो हैं late 19th century में, early 20th century में, the perceptions are of a city, of a people, चाहे वो लखनऊ होए, अवध होए, चाहे वो दिल्ली होए, of a people who were united and living very happily together. And there is another one of my classmates, he was teaching in Baroda University. He's done his PhD on riots under the British. Riots under the Mughals. And you'll be surprised that the first riot takes place only in the, I think, in the later part of Aurangzeb's rule in Ahmedabad. And there were only 5 riots under the Mughals. And after that, we have seen so many, har dusre din riot to koi nayi cheez bachi hi nahi hui hai. So that was the kind, so, you know, like in hindsight, we can say कि हाँ वो ऐसे थे वैसे थे, but then those are WhatsApp, these are not the हकीकत नहीं है. अगर आप हकीकत देखें तो सब चैन से रह रहे थे. The distress was more economic, I would say, and agrarian because of the taxes rather than religious.
Yeah. Because even in that Aurangzeb wala जो आपने वाकया सुनाया, इसमें from what I remember, so there was a delegation which comes from Ahmedabad, comprising, you know, very senior Muslims, aristocratic Muslims, and they petition the emperor and say that बादशाह देखिए हमारे साथ जो है क्या हुआ. And the Mughal emperor refuses to intervene, saying कि ये गुजरात के हाकिम का मामला है, तो ये गुजरात के हाकिम ही देखेंगे.
And also that was again a fight between traders, which took on a communal color. It was not a communal fight to start with. कुछ आपस में traders के बीच में लड़ाई हुई थी, and because they belong to different religions, so बाद में थोड़ा बहुत उसमें communal tones आ जाते हैं.
हाँ, तो बादशाह ने जो है इंटरवीन करने से मना कर दिया था कि भाई ये तो लोकल मसला है आप लोगों का, जो अपने आप सुलझा लीजिए, और गुजरात के हाकिम वो देखेंगे जो सूबेदार हैं वहां के. It is his call entirely. It's nothing that Delhi should be bothered about. So, you know, that gives you an example कि क्या उस जमाने में रहा होगा. But surprisingly enough, you know, even 50 years, within, you know, 20-30 years after 1857, we see this कि कितनी मतलब deep communalism फैल जाता है because of these, you know, policies, and you suddenly see UP में तो वो that the Hindi Urdu controversy जो शुरू होता है, which majorly upset Sir Syed तो इसको दर्ज भी करते हैं, you know, he's very depressed to see whatever is going on. So, you know, and that is actually the lesson that, you know, it takes years and centuries to, you know, create a syncretic tradition. It takes less than a decade, perhaps, to undo all of that.
A few years.
In a few years,
a few years and a few WhatsApp. That's all that is needed.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think that's the greatest lesson that we should derive आजकल के ज़माने में, you know, if you see 1857. But you know, moving on, I thought that you could shed some light on women. Azizan ka
so before that, before I do that, I would like to, you know, take your this thing on ke I'll come to the women part of it. कि हम इसको like I call it the Great Uprising. I do not call it the First War of Indian Independence. How do you see it? And and why?
I always call it the Revolt of 1857. You know, because that has been the generally accepted, you know, the middle ground. You know, which we learned. You know, at least I read in school and college. हमेशा, you know, Revolt of 1857 ही कहा जाता था, because that's what it was really. So अगर आप Indian Mutiny बोलते हैं तो आप अंग्रेजी propaganda आप करते हैं. अगर आप First War of Indian Independence बोलते हैं तो एक nationalist Indian propaganda आप इसको करते हैं. So, I think, we are very quick to assign labels. This black and white understanding of history is revolt or uprising are the same thing. जो आप use कर रही हैं. So and the revolt again is the same thing. So it's not a war of independence. So because we have to understand this whole term comes from Savarkar. And Savarkar is really the first Indian nationalist to come up with this Indian War of Independence, because his book was called Indian War of Independence in 1857, which incidentally was the first book on 1857 that I read, and it was it still is in my father's collection. उन्होंने शायद 60s or 70s में लिया होगा. That has continued in our family. So it was there, and when I was in class 10, so I was just rummaging through the stuff in an Almirah, and I found that copy of the book, which I read. And as a 15-year-old, that had quite an impact on my mind, because the way this book was written, very provocative language, and इसमें तो you बोलते हैं कि now we were laughing and now we will cry. इस type के lines use हुए हैं, because when you talk about and Maulvi Ahmadullah Shah's death, तो उसमें भी Savarkar, at least उस जमाने में when he was writing that, so he did not really, we don't see the communal Savarkar in that book, at least. Later on we do see, of course, but उस जमाने तक. So what was happening was, this Indian War of Independence thing comes from a strange name, for us today it may be strange, but उस जमाने में a very strong admiration of Italian nationalism. So now, आजकल Italian बोलते ही जो है, it's a very politically loaded term, and the dynasty comes into the picture. Mrs. Gandhi का नाम लाया जाता है, और जो सारे देशभक्त है जो है Italian, heavily inspired by Savarkar and others in that time, early 20th century, they were massively inspired by Italian nationalism. Garibaldi, Mazzini के writings, Mazzini का पूरा किताब जो है biography उन्होंने लिखा मराठी में, सावरकर ने. So this whole and not just Savarkar, there were many other, you had these revolutionary societies that had sprung up all over North India and Bengal. So Anushilan Samiti karke, these were, they believed in revolutionary and an armed insurrection to end British rule. All of them took their idiom from Italian nationalism, from Garibaldi and Mazzini. Acha, baad ke age mein, some 20 years later, after Savarkar writes the book, there is another Italian ruler, which is Benito Mussolini, who suddenly becomes this massive figure who was admired even by many Indian National Congress leaders. So you see that Italy ka bada important role raha hai in a very different way, of course. So Mazzini, and because he was interacting with these French and British socialists, because he was close to Shyamji Krishna Varma, so us pura circle jo tha socialism, left-leaning log the sare. So they fed all these ideas, and which he suddenly started retrospectively applying to 1857. So suddenly a 19th century event came to be described from a very 20th century perspective. So
as is all history these days,
as is all history.
सारी history को हम hindsight में ही देखते हैं.
But of course, this is something that really appealed to Indian nationalists, cutting across party lines and ideologies. Isileye you see that suddenly following Savarkar's cue, Congress leaders also start talking in glorious terms about this great war of independence that we fought. Subhadra Kumari Chauhan comes up with a very patriotic poem, Khoob Lari Mardani, वो तो झांसी वाली रानी थी कि एकदम से जो है झांसी की रानी को जो है आपने from one of the many Indian kings and queens who were trying to retain their inheritance, suddenly you propel her to a great national icon. So that was a requirement of ज़माने का. Now we are not fighting a freedom movement. And I think 70 years से ज़्यादा हो गया वक्त हमें independent हुए. So I think now we can at least have a critical look at our past. उसका एक time था वो जा चुका है उसका. So I think now we should try to see it as what it was. It was a sepoy revolt. If there were heroes and villains, then those were among the sepoys. Who were the real people who fought in that whole movement, who at many times, were not organized, but they still had, tried to, achieve something. कि मतलब जो है officers को खत्म कर. They did not have very long-term, goals as such. इसीलिए तो बादशाह के पास गए. While I'm sure many of them were fully aware the real situation of the बादशाह. But because the image was such कि भाई अब हमें दिख नहीं रहा है, कुछ सोच नहीं रहा है. So we have to go to the बादशाह because he is the one who's going to lead us. So that I think is very important to remember. And
again, we come to the fact कि चाहे वो नाना साहब होए, चाहे वो हजरत महल होए, चाहे कोई भी होए, they all fought under the Badshah. They did not fight independently. Now, there's this one question, since we are on this question before we move further. Marx termed the revolt as War of Independence. So, can you just comment on that?
Marx कभी हिंदुस्तान आए नहीं थे, and Marx का view also changes in subsequent times. Originally उन्होंने जो लिखा था बाद में, of course. See, the Marxian thing, the whole thing is explained in terms of a class struggle, right? So if it is a fight against an imperialist power, obviously it is to be celebrated by by Marxists. So people, I think today when you attack Marxist historians, many people do that. They do it without actually reading any Marxist literature. So Marxists have never glorified the Mughals. ये नहीं होता है, So every small subalternism is not really inspired by Marxist historiography, but that again is a left school of historiography. Even in that, so we see that every time there's a small rebellion, a peasant revolt against the Mughal emperor, Badshah Aurangzeb ho, chahe Badshah Akbar ho, subaltern studies mein pura likha hua hai. It is actually studied in depth and in fact celebrated in many ways as as an expression by by these Indians, by the peasantry and the proletariat. तो ये सब जो है क्लास स्ट्रगल के जरिए से आप अगर इसको एक्सप्लेन करें तो फिर Marx always will be the god. So every conflict in society.
Say something before because हमारा time 1 घंटे वाला खत्म होने वाला है. That we'll come back. So those who are here with us, please don't go away. Because when this live session finishes, we are limited by an hour. We'll be back and we'll take more questions then. Now, you asked me about the women. So I'll just talk about the women before we go further. That Jhansi ki Rani, unke saath bhi there was that lady who took her, as I said, my memory has become very bad now.
Jhalkari Bai.
Jhalkari Bai is the one who stayed back, and I've talked about all of them. Zahir Dehlvi talks of a woman whom he says कि वो रोज सुबह आती थी, and she would come and lead exhort the men to go into battle against the British, and then she just disappears, so nobody knows who she was. And in fact, the most successful of all the people who put up a fight against the British is Hazrat Mahal, who runs a parallel government, and she is never caught, and she is the one who the Battle of Chinhat hai, जिसमें Ahmadullah Shah is leading. That's the only actual battle which the Indians won. I'll put rebels in inverted commas, but that is the only battle that they won. And we have Mahmood Farooqi with us also, whose wonderful book Besieged is there for those who would like to read, because he has translated a lot of documents from the archives of that time, and you get a very good idea of what was going through the people's mind when all this was happening. Because एक तो हमारा nationhood का concept भी नहीं था उस वक्त, जिसको हम आज we are projecting onto it. So that is again a very big factor. And apart from, of course, Hazrat Mahal, Jhalkari Bai, we had so many others. Azizun Bai जो है, she is one of my personal heroes. कि she is a very मतलब उमराव जान तो खैर जिसके बारे में हम लोग ज्यादातर बात करते हैं because of the film, is a fictitious person, but Azizan Bai is not. Azizan Bai is a real woman, a courtesan who is operating in Kanpur, and she joins Nana Sahib's troops, and उसका ये भी था कि she was training the women in जो औरतें थी, she was training them in warfare, sword play. वो घुड़सवारी करती थी, तलवारजनी करती थी, and she's teaching women there, and she's joining them in their processions, and of course she's also killed. So औरतें तो बहुत थी. Then I'm forgetting the name now, बहुत सारी औरतों के नाम मैंने उसमें लिखे थे in that article. There was this one
हाँ
Asghari who 48-year
हाँ
old Asghari I think in Bihar. And अभी recently इनकी जो किताब आई है सबा दीवान की तवायफनामा, where
तवायफनामा
she
हाँ
talks of this woman who
हम्म,
also is जो कुंवर सिंह की साथ
हम्म,
थी, and she also dies and fights against
हाँ
them. So औरतों की कोई
हाँ
कमी नहीं थी, लेकिन ये कि भाई again they are the invisible because we
and
don't
also they
talk
are
of them so
vilified
much.
later.
हाँ
बाद के जैसे
हाँ
इंग्लिश अकाउंट्स में आप देखिए कि बीबी घर मसाकर का जो है पूरा ब्लेम
हाँ
अजीजन बेगम पे डाल दिया जाता है
हाँ
कि
हाँ
शी वाज
हाँ
द वन हु गॉट
हाँ
बुचर्स टू
हाँ हाँ
मैसेकर.
हाँ
अच्छा, which surprisingly, again we are entering controversial territory,
हाँ
but there are many people who are veterans of various Indian army regiments today
हाँ
who actually take a lot of pride in the fact that their regiments had contributed in putting down the revolt.
हाँ
So, इसमें भी, when you talk about the Bibighar massacre, इसमें भी I have heard, veterans or retired Indian Army, very senior officers. I'm not going to name anyone, but they have, said things like, Acha, see, the army was asked to, carry out this massacre, but the sepoys, because, they believe in their own soldierly code, they refused to do it. Because of which they had to get a courtesan from Lucknow, and she got all the butchers, and इसीलिए जो कत्लो गारत जो उन लोगों ने किया, हम सिपाहियों ने तो नहीं किया. So similarly, Sati Chowra Ghat massacre is also explained away that the Indian sepoys never were not capable of doing something like that. It must have been these others who did it. So
That's
so
the
we see
romance
that it's a
that
very
we add
complex.
to everything.
Absolutely,
uh,
absolutely, and these are
now
later retelling.
हाँ
uh, The
there's
later
this
retellings
question.
then. Uh,
ये question ले लो because we'll finish, the time will finish and this question will also go away.
कौन सा वाला?
Was the British press fair in reporting about the Sepoy revolt? Do you think they
Absolutely
highly
not.
sensationalized and showed the mutiny in a very bad light?
Not just that, they actually created these stories about a massive organized conspiracy. See, the London Times, it played a pivotal role in rousing public opinion against the sepoys, and by that extension, the Indian people. Okay, so the Times correspondents at various places were the ones who created, in many cases, news stories which were inaccurate, or they read meaning into things that did not exist. For instance, it is one of the Times correspondents who actually met Azimullah Khan, when this Crimean War was going on, and he wrote that, Azimullah Khan was making, unnecessary inquiries. He also, created this myth that, he was in league with Russian revolutionaries or the Russian Empire. And then, together they were trying to, and of course, there were many Afghan agents as well there. So, they were
ईरान
together
एंगल
trying to
भी
create.
था ना अगेंस्ट बहादुर
बिल्कुल
शाह
बिल्कुल
जफर.
हाँ
ईरान और
हाँ
रशिया
हाँ
दोनों का एंगल था उनके खिलाफ.
हाँ बिल्कुल बिल्कुल.
हाँ
So and in fact the talk about the German spies also being involved. So these were stories, and the British press was by and large quite unfair in the reporting of the revolt of 1857. Not just that, there were, if you look to the Indian press as well, उसमें भी आपको दिख जाएगा बहुत सारे ऐसे cases हैं. Though I do see some editorials that the Times of India, my own newspaper, had published in that time, and I see that in that at least the East India Company was directly blamed for the unrest in India.
So
So
we've got 30 seconds left. We will be back.
uh,
So everybody just hold on. And
uh,
we can just keep talking for 30 seconds till this goes off. And then we come back.
no, Mahmood Farooqi Sah's book was quite, was
हाँ
something quite of a revelation for me, because,
हाँ
Besieged was something. In fact, I remember having spoken to him on this. I don't know if he remembers, but
हाँ
we had a phone conversation on this, and we talked about a Sepoy constitution. So we'll talk about that, I guess, when we come back in the next
The
one.
Sepoy Constitution is I. Money, please. हाँ, you send me the request, Money.
So I'm
Okay,
back.
you can just continue because I'm just making sure that on the other phone that our conversation is saved onto IGTV. So you can
Okay,
continue
okay.
answering them while I
Yeah.
figure that out on my other phone.
Acha, acha, हाँ.
So I
नहीं,
used
नहीं,
to,
so I was saying that the sepoys in Delhi had in fact drafted a working constitution, with a military council, and so that is something which I remember having had a phone conversation with Mahmood Farooqi Saab many years back. This was immediately after his book had come out. The book is called Besieged: Voices of 1857. Somebody had asked the question.
हाँ.
So, though I am not too sure to what extent there was an idea to, establish a republican form of government at some point, which some other authors have also commented on those lines. I'm not too sure about that, about the organizing capacity of the soldiers, and so I'm not too sure about that. But yes, that document itself is quite a fascinating document.
That
I
Sepoy
think.
constitution that you talked about, I have it in
Hmm.
front of me. It's actually given in this book. These are the proceedings of Indian
Hmm.
History Conference in 2010, in which
Okay.
the constitution was given. Now, if I can find it, because I didn't take it out. But anyway, it is
Hmm.
there. And all the ishtihads and that famous Azamgarh
Hmm.
proclamation, all that are there in this
Hmm.
book. These various
Hmm.
books that I have, as I said, no, that Zahir has
Right.
been doing a lot of work. So there is this book also edited by Shiri Appa. Then
Okay.
there is another book. So
Oh,
the
nice.
and from this book now, one question I'll ask you about the sepoys, and then I'll talk about the Basha and what the Basha could have done. Do you
Hmm.
think that the sepoys, the Indian sepoys, lost an opportunity? Could they have done anything better?
Hmm.
And what were the tactics that they used? Because they were all trained by the same British whom they were
Hmm.
fighting.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes.
And under
So.
Subedar of the trained again by the British. एक बात और, when I was translating Dastane Ghadar, I went to Aligarh and Irfan साहब से मैं मिलने गई, Professor Irfan Habib, and I
हाँ.
asked him, I said, sir, I'm translating this book. तो he said, क्यों कर रही हो? उस किताब में तो उन्होंने लिखा है, and he says कि because एक जगह Zahir Dehlvi says कि जो एक किसी सिपाही ने आके कहा था ना कि अरे बुढ़े, so he says कि
हाँ,
वो
ये बुढ़े,
शायद
हाँ.
he says कि वो शायद बख्त खान थे. So he says बख्त
अच्छा.
खान उस तरह का नहीं था. He was a very sophisticated person who had fought all over,
हाँ.
बहुत जगह जा चुका था, including Afghanistan, and he was a very sophisticated,
हाँ.
very highly trained person. So he says कि how
हाँ.
could Zahir Dehlvi write कि he said अरे बुढ़े, he would not have said it. So which I've added as a
Hmm.
footnote in that from Irfan साहब. तो इरफान साहब को
Uh,
ये बात
it's actually
बहुत
quite interesting because I read about it. जैसे William Dalrymple ने अपने Last Mughal में इसको लिखा है.
That's
The
because
emperor
Zahir
said.
Dehlvi says that. Zahir Dehlvi
हाँ,
यही
हाँ,
लिखते हैं उसमें
हाँ, हाँ.
कि this was said by, he says एक आदमी आता है and says कि अरे बुढ़े, and then the next day I discover that this man is Bakht Khan and he has come from
हाँ.
कहाँ से, बरेली की तरफ से कहीं से आते हैं ना. So
बरेली से,
हाँ
हाँ.
हाँ हाँ.
So,
तो
see, I think the sepoys. See, it's very difficult to say or predict something which did not happen. कि इसका course क्या होता? But of course, we can make some intelligent guesses because Indians, as I said early on, were not allowed to rise beyond the rank of a subadar. That means they were only commanding their individual, paltans and units, and that too in a subordinate role. They were not the battalion commanders. So that officer experience, and the British realized it very well, which is why they never really allowed any Indian officer to actually become a commissioned officer. It was a long fight, really, and we see this, even in the aftermath of 1857, that many, well-meaning English officials talked about putting Indians in officer role, and it was not until the Skene Committee happens in the 1920s that we see that Indians were finally allowed into, ranks of responsibility or commission ranks or leadership positions. So it is a fact that firing a bullet is different from being guided to fire that bullet. So when do you open fire? How do you choose your targets? All of that all of that is actually, and planning the higher direction of war. These are all officer responsibilities, and unless you are in that role, you don't get to learn that. So even though the sepoys, they were tremendous fighters, and we see this, many of the British officers are on record, complimenting their former men, men who served under them, and now they're adversaries, and yet there's something called a soldierly affiliation, soldierly bonding, which, even though they are now enemies, but still that bond really ties them. And many of these English officers are full of praise when they see that how their men have fought, how they have retreated in an orderly fashion, and how they have preserved their ammunition and fought rear guard actions. Just we see this in Badli Ki Sarai. In Badli Ki Sarai, we see that that was a disaster in many ways, because for the first time the Indian defenses were laid waste, and the sepoys lost their guns, and they had to actually retreat into the city. And we see that even in that, the orderly retreat of the sepoys was something which impressed the British, even though they had lost. So I think that anything more than that would have been very difficult for them to achieve, unless, of course, they had all the means. And we have to remember that Britain or the company was a big financial power as well. So you were attacking their posts in India. The army was still behind them. So they could always get their supplies from elsewhere. Then there were always people who were friendly to them. So it was not possible to do something like that
So I think Mani's, he'll just be back.
No, somebody was trying to call me.
Okay.
So to do anything more than that would have been very difficult for the sepoys, and even if all the Indian princes had united, as we often like to romanticize it, even then it would have been difficult, because you have this huge intercontinental trade which the company, and by virtue extension of the company was the British government, they had. So even though we like to separate the company from the British in many ways today, so that you can not place all the blame directly at the feet of the English. It was actually the British government that was establishing control.
So sorry, there's one question, Mani, if you can hear me. Could you shed light on how Calcutta was affected during 1857? Was there a sense of panic considering it was the capital? This is by the Mad Mughals.
Okay. So, picture is frozen though.
Yes, it's very clear. Carry on.
Okay. No, because I think somebody has been trying to call me. Actually, can I just rejoin again? Let me just get out of this and come back.
So while Mani is coming, I will read out a verse for you. Now, this verse was written by Bahadur Shah Zafar, and it became so popular, especially after his exile, that it was banned in 1862 by the British political agent of Bhopal sent a report to his superiors asking for a ban on it. It became so popular. So this is a verse I have translated also. I'll first read out the Urdu part and then I'll translate it. गई यक बयक जो हवा पलट नहीं दिल को मेरे करार है. गई यक बयक जो हवा पलट नहीं दिल को मेरे करार है. करूं इस सितम को मैं क्या बयां, मेरा गम से सीना फिगार है. So I'm just waiting now whenever Mani sends the request. करूं उस सितम को मैं क्या बयान, मेरा गम से सीना फिगार है. The winds of fate changed suddenly. My heart is inconsolable. How can I describe the pain? My chest is heavy with melancholy. ये रियाया हिंद तबाह हुई, कहूँ क्या जो इन पे जफा हुई. ये रियाया हिंद तबाह हुई, कहूँ क्या जो इन पे जफा हुई. जिसे देखा हाकिम वक्त ने कहा, ये भी काबिले दार है. Indians have been ruined. One can't describe their oppression. The new rulers condemned everybody they saw worthy of the gallows. Now this is again, you have the Beato has recorded it and so has Zahir Dehlvi, that जो कोतवाली जहाँ पे आज गुरुद्वारा शीशगंज का लंगर खाना है, that used to be the कोतवाली, कि कोतवाली चबूतरे के सामने उन्होंने लंबी लाइनें लगवाई थी of the people whom they were hanging, and एक सामने हैंग होता था तो पीछे वाला खड़ा होकर देख रहा होता था सामने वाला कितना चीख रहा है, चिल्ला रहा है, तड़प रहा है. So and then of course they were shot. 14 लोग तो कूचा चेलान में they were shot dead, which included a very leading scholar of that age, Imam Baksh Shehbai, who was a Persian professor of Persian in Delhi College, and then Mir Panjakash, who was a famous calligrapher and contemporary of the emperor. तो ये सब उस वक्त मतलब ये लास्ट सेशन में किसी ने पूछा था about the gallows. So gallows पे तो बहुत लोग चढ़ाए गए थे. Then ये किसी ने जुल्म भी है सुना कि दी फांसी लोगों को बेगुनाह. ये किसी ने जुल्म भी है सुना कि दी फांसी लोगों को बेगुनाह. वही कलमा गौं के सिमत से अभी दिल में उनके बुखार है. Has anybody heard of such tyranny, that innocents were sent to the gallows? The rulers still bear such enmities towards those who recite the Islamic creed. Now again, if you go to the ridge, you will see a mutiny memorial put there, which says that on 20th of September, the city had been emptied of the enemy. And if you read Zahir Dehlvi, it is mostly the majority that is fleeing the country is those who follow the Islamic creed. Mani, send me an invitation so that I can then यही तंग हाल जो सबका है ये, करिश्मा कुदरत रब का है ये, जो बहार थी सो खिजा हुई, जो खिजा थी अब वो बहार है. These straitened conditions that we find ourselves in is divinely ordained. The spring has turned into the decay of autumn, while the decay has turned into spring for some. शबो रोज फूल में जो तुले कहो खारे गम को वो क्या सहे. शबो रोज फूल में जो तुले कहो खारो गम को वो क्या सहे. मिले तौक कैद में जब उन्हें कहा गुल के बदले ये हार है. Those who were weighed in flowers morn and night, how can they bear the thorns of grief? They were given shackles of imprisonment and told to embrace it as a garden of flowers. सभी ज्यादा मातम सख्त है, कहो कैसी गर्दिश बख्त है. न वो ताज है, न वो तख्त है, न वो शाह है, न दयार है. Everywhere there is the lament and wails of mourning. How terrible is the turn of fate. Neither the crown nor the throne or the emperor of the kingdom remains. जो सलूक करते थे और से वही अब है कितने जलील से. वो है तंग चरख के जोर से, रहा तन पे उनके न तर है. Those who once reigned are now dealt humiliation. They are oppressed by the wheel of fortune. Not a shed remains on their body. न वबाल तन पे है सर मेरा, नहीं जान जाने का डर जरा. Oh, sorry, I don't know if Mani has. Oh, sorry, I got so involved in the verse, I didn't see that Mani had sent the invitation. So just this last verse while Mani joins.
Yes, Sonam, I'm back.
So I just complete this verse now. क्या है गम जफर तुझे हश्र का जो खुदा ने चाहा तो बरमला. क्या है गम जफर तुझे हश्र का जो खुदा ने चाहा तो बरमला. हमें है वसीला रसूल का वो हमारे हामी कार है. Why are you worried about doomsday, Zafar? Whatever God wishes comes to pass. I am hopeful that the Prophet will be my supporter on that last day of judgment. Now Zafar spoke for all those who sacrificed their lives in the uprising, and it is up to us to remember and honor their memories, which is why we do, all of us, every year on 18 in these 4 months of the siege of Delhi. I try and keep reminding people of what happened, and so does Mani Mugdha, and we are, that's why we are doing this session also. So now we will take whatever questions were there, that now that Mani has joined. Mani, any references of why the local would make a choice of joining the company, Also, what made the locals so dedicated to the company and fight against their own?
Oh, okay, that's a good question. So we have to remember that there was a very long fighting tradition in this country, and in different areas of the country, especially in what you call Hindustan in those times, which is essentially North India. तो वहाँ पे क्या होता था कि there was already a practice of fighting and auctioning your military labor, or like offering your services to any warlord or any king. So, most of the time the practice that was followed was that, when there was an emperor, so it's the emperor who would have his, a very limited body of household troops, and the rest the nobles and everyone else will bring up. So a very long fighting tradition existed, and the Purbaya sepoys, like the eastern UP, Bihar, Bengal. So these sepoys were pretty much in demand because they were known for their soldierly skills. In fact, even when Badshah Akbar goes to Chittor, it is one Purbaya musketeer corps which really upsets the Mughal the most. They frustrate him, Akbar, like anything. So the war fighting skills were always there, and उस ज़माने का एक honorable profession हुआ करता था. So no matter what family background you belong to, you could be hired by any fortune seeker or any decent paymaster who had territorial ambitions. तो आप उसको अपना labor offer करते थे. So today's society is very different. So now we have people joining the army are either people who have served, those families that have had a very long tradition, or but very few people actually join the armed forces as a form of career. By and large, people love the private sector more in India today. But back then, army service or military service was considered to be something which is to be proud of. So शादियां तय होती थी इस हिसाब से कि भाई अच्छा ये तो पलटन में सूबेदार है या जमादार है. So अब उस हिसाब से आपको उस हिसाब से दहेज भी मिलता था. So that's how it used to be. So when it comes to the Indian, not just in Indian, but even in some of the fighting, ideas or ideals have remained the same across cultures. In India, when it comes to the Indian Armed Forces, we always talk about three credos. One is Naam, the other is Namak, the third is Nishan. So you fight for your name. Naam, you fight for your Namak, which is your loyalty, or loyalty, not just your loyalty to your paymaster, but also your loyalty to your clans, that you're representing your clan in that. And Nishan being the standard, the regimental standard or whatever. So nobody saw the East India Company as a foreign power really. As long as they were paying you and giving you decent remuneration and giving you a house, a roof over your head, and taking care of your children, even your health. So all these things, were the only things that people considered. So it's only today we have a very patriotic, nationalistic understanding of what is good service, what is bad service, but उस ज़माने में नहीं था. So you could just, and in fact, there are many East India Company officials on record saying that, अच्छा, so if you join the Scindia, you will get more power and better work benefits. Okay, sorry. बीच में I know a lot of people are trying to call me. I don't know why. Anyway, so बीच में चला जाता है. So
कोई बात नहीं. You are just very popular.
today. So
and
so
before that,
so
Mani has just done a podcast with Amit Verma. So have I, for that matter. So you all can hear us on The Seen and the Unseen, episode 172 and 173.
Oh yes. And my episode just came out this morning, so very excited about that. So there was absolutely no taboo associated with military service for the company or with the British or French. Whosoever was willing to pay you subsistence and regular pay was a good paymaster. So
also there was no concept of a nationhood. Can you just explain that also? Because वो बहुत सारे लोग भूल जाते हैं कि what is the concept of a nation then, the concept of India now.
So in today's India, when you are growing up in a democratic country, with a very long, freedom movement, and nationalism is embedded in our spirit. So you tend to imagine the same thing to have existed back in the 19th or 18th or 17th century as well. But that is not true, because the understanding of this whole nationalism that we have today is very European. Okay, and that has come only once a very geographical, a cultural common understanding has awakened. Only after that, we have come to this stage. So people would fight. So if you are from Bengal, if you are a Purbaiya, you may not get along well with somebody from Punjab. So that was also there even then. So
even in Delhi,
so
they keep cursing the Purbis. They keep saying Purbi aa gaye hain, Talangi aa gaye hain. So there was that sense of in those days also the Delhi walas felt that they were slightly better off.
Absolutely. So even when you talk about 1857 and the siege of Delhi, which is on, and there are letters in Mahmood Farooqi Sahib's book as well that you can find out, and there are others have also written about it. आपने भी लिखा है. तो इसमें you see that that the locals are very upset. ये कहाँ से आ गए? जैसे आपने कहा पूर्वैया सिपाही आ गए ये लोग.
रास्ता कैदे भेजा.
हाँ. So they have completely upset our ways of life. उससे पहले you see now the great nationalist narrative which talks about Marathas being the saviors of Hindustan and of Hindu dharma and Bharat and whatever. Marathas were seen as the outsiders in Delhi. Nobody liked them. So पूरे North India में उनसे जो है relation कायम करने के लिए कोई तैयार नहीं था. The Rajputs did not have very good relations with them. They thought that these are rustics who have come from down the Deccan. So the concept of a nation, as we understand it today, did not exist. Therefore, nation है नहीं है तो nationhood नहीं है, nationalism नहीं है. तो obviously you are अलग-अलग सूबे के basis पे आप लड़ाई कर रहे हैं ना. So it's just one king fighting against the other. And mercenary service used to be the way of life. So whosoever had more power would dominate the military economy. मुगलों का एक जमाने में बोलबाला था. बाद में the company controlled the South Asian military economy, and eventually you see the British did the same thing. So it is only with this modern European nationalism that the concept of a nation starts emerging. So so what you are saying is very ahistorical. So people would have absolutely no qualms. अच्छा, जब वो nationalism का understanding आ भी गया था, उसके बावजूद भी you see that as late as 1947, independence happened. Not everyone was fighting against the British. There was a huge Indian middle class that was still working in the courts or in the civil services and in the hospitals and in schools established by the government, which is considered to be foreign. But चल तो रहा था ना. So it's a very different. The past is a different country, as they say.
अच्छा, एक क्वेश्चन इनका मैट मुगल का शायद लास्ट उसमें नहीं जवाब मिल पाया था उन्हें. He's saying my question was about how Calcutta was affected during 1857. Was there a sense of panic considering it was the capital?
No, but capital only for the British, right? That was the British company ka markaz tha na, Fort William. So it was the understanding of Calcutta being a capital city also is a later construct. 1857 mein to nahi tha na. It's only when the British Raj is established do we see that. Now once you have this Government of India Act aa jata hai, uske baad suddenly there's an understanding that now this is the way things are going to go. Otherwise, it was pretty much independent courts that were still functioning, like the court in Delhi. So there was some panic in Calcutta among the British because all these disturbing reports were coming. There were some sporadic instances when somebody fired a shot. कुछ छोटा सा जलपाईगुड़ी में for instance, if I remember it right, बहुत time पहले पढ़ा था, but I think in Jalpaiguri there was an instance of some sepoys opening fire. But of course these were very quickly put down because the strength of the British lay in Calcutta, in Bengal. So and in fact Barakpur is also in Bengal, and so that's how among the British there was some panic. And in fact, later stories were also circulated that even Lord Canning, the Governor General, उन्होंने अपना जहाज तैयार रखा था कि मतलब अगर ये फतह कर देते हैं हमें तो फिर then I'll run away. And of course, this is a later thing. It's just a story, anecdotal tale. Actual evidence है या नहीं, I don't know. But it's a very popular tale that keeps coming up. Otherwise, it did not, by and large, it did not affect Calcutta or Bengal that much. So even Barakpur में जब शुरू में हुआ था with Mangal Pandey, later on नहीं हुआ because those regiments were disbanded very quickly. So if that answers your question.
Can you shed some light on Campbell's campaign in Rohilkhand? Aunt Khan, Bahadur Khan and Maulvi of Faizabad, totally forgotten. Yes, Mani touched upon that in the earlier session that we had, that a new nationalist, this thing was, during the war of, the national movement, during the national movement, a new this thing was. So can you just talk about this? And then I'll talk about Bahadur Shah after that.
So, as you see that Khan, Bahadur Khan, Rohilla, if I can say this for a fact that when I was in higher secondary, which is 11 and 12, so we still had that CBSE, the textbook. Uspe among the icons, and that was again written from a very nationalist perspective, very inclusive at that. Usme Khan Bahadur Khan, Rohilla, Maulvi of Faizabad, all of these were considered to be national icons, very important figures of the revolt. And so I don't think that at least till that time they were forgotten. But yes, in subsequent times, you don't even hear about Kunwar Singh, right? So now it has only come down to celebrating Rani Lakshmibai and Nana Saheb when you talk about 1857. And after these movies, it's, I think, more Rani Lakshmibai who's going to trump everyone else when it comes to the memory of 1857. But otherwise, so you see that, Colin Campbell is like a, veteran soldier, so he's brought in with a field force and he's joined by others as well. So he's a Scotsman and comes with his own Highland regiments, So, there's this very strong clan loyalties that happen in, these.
And we keep forgetting about Bakht Khan. Bakht Khan ka kya role tha and how well he, whatever he could in Delhi. And also
Delhi mein scene thi Mirza Mughal. Mirza Mughal also.
Mirza Mughal also, but Mirza Mughal ke baad when Bakht Khan becomes the commander-in-chief and jis waqt fall of Delhi hoti hai and Humayun ki tomb mein jate hain Bahadur Shah Zafar, even at that point of time Bakht Khan tries to persuade the emperor ke let's go, let's live to retreat to fight another day. But he has these people, the Rajab Ali and Elahi Baksh and all, who are advising him against it. Okay, don't go away and surrender yourself, and he surrenders, and then of course the rest is history. But ये जो एक किताब है, this book, this one, The Great Uprising, this has a translation by, who is it by? Of Allama Fazle-e-Haq Khairabadi's a journal that he wrote in the Andamans by Professor Sayyid Moinul Haq, Professor Moinul Haq, who writes his Allama Fazle-e-Haq ka jo wo tha, the journal that he kept in the Andamans. He was exiled to Andamans, Kala Pani unko bhi diya gaya tha, and he died there in the jail, and he writes this from there. In that, he blames Hakim Ahsanullah Khan and Zeenat Mahal for a lot of things that are happening, and he says that the king was badly advised. He also feels that he should have, gone and fought from somewhere else. But then we forget that he was 83 years old at that time. And, had he been younger, maybe things would have been different. But then again, that is the realm of possibility, which cannot be history.
Right,
yes,
absolutely.
Rehan,
and if you see that movie Junoon, जिसमें शशि कपूर थे, इसमें पूरा रोहिलखंड का कैंपेन दिखाया गया है. How eventually Colin Campbell's army.
जावेद भाई हम दिल्ली हार गए.
जावेद भाई हम दिल्ली हार गए. तो it's a very powerful scene, नहीं, जिसमें वो आते हैं, सरफराज, नसीरुद्दीन शाह का किरदार होता है, सरफराज आते हैं, आके मतलब he gets angry, पूरा frustration कबूतरों पे निकालते हैं कि आप मुझ पे हाथ उठाएंगे लेकिन अपने मुल्क के लिए नहीं तलवार उठाएंगे. तो that's a very powerful scene. So that shows an eventually. So it's a very organized army which was sent. Obviously, so the British would send their full might, and they get all the king's troops from different parts of the country. Plus Madras Army को भी बुलाया जाता है. So and you have several field forces. There's a Delhi field force, there's a Central India field force, and so on. So it is a very organized, because like I said, you have generals who are planning the higher direction of war, and then you have these officers who are leading it. There's several Indian regiments who, going by, and many of them, like I said earlier, feel very proud of their role in 1857. So I actually heard one officer, a veteran of one Indian Army regiment called Four Horse or Hodson's Horse, proudly tell an Englishman that we put down the bloody mutiny. So can you imagine an Indian saying that to an Angrez? But so the memory of 1857, at least when it comes to the armed forces, is very different from what you and I have grown up studying. So unless of course you have served in the army and you see these various citations that your unit has won at various theaters. So until and unless you see that, and you are actually made to feel proud of all that. So you don't publicly, show those honors because usko repugnant kaha jata hai.
I studied in Lamatnia, Lucknow, and Major Hudson is buried there. That's where he died, and he was buried there. And the houses that we had, one of the houses was Hudson. So, luckily I was in Cornwallis and not in Hudson. I had no idea also who Hudson was at that point of time when he was studying.
आप पे और ट्रेटर का एक लेबल लग जाता है Hudson's house पे बैठी हुई.
And we even today I don't think that people understand that. And Lamatnia Boys College, of course, was it was the thing of the British resistance against the
yes.
About forces who were fighting, and they got students from there got the colors, I think, and that's very proudly displayed there. And I remember a lot of people objecting कि why are they like displaying colors that they got in the mutiny. Yet ये है कि भाई वो तो उस वक्त की बात थी, and they were doing what they thought was correct. So
right,
that's perception. Question
रानी झांसी का जो स्टैंडर्ड था वो 5th राजपूताना राइफल्स के पास था कि उनको हराने के बाद जो उनका जो फ्लैग वैग ले लिया गया, her colors for a very long time remained with the Rajputana rifles. And of course अभी आप पूछेंगे तो फिर जवाब मिलेगा कि वो चोरी हो गया. But for a very long time we know this for a fact that it was the Rajputana rifles that owned the standards of the Rani. So you see that it's not so hard. It's not a very simple narrative that that you have. So even today, armed forces में उसका memory completely अलग है. So you have to also respect that, because that's how history is like. It's not one narrative. There's several narratives that are going on.
मतलब आप गालिब को ही देख लीजिए ना, दस्तनबू में एक तरफ वो पूर्वियों को गाली भी दे रहे हैं, बादशाह के लिए कसीदे भी लिख रहे हैं. So he is also so confused. All of the people are, चाहे वो ज़हीर दहलवी हों कि वो they have grown up कि भाई ये अंग्रेज जो हैं इनकी वो चल रही है यहाँ पे हुकूमत. मतलब मुल्क जरूर बादशाह का है लेकिन हुकूमत तो कंपनी की. So they're living in that. And even when ये जो है असर हुसैन अदीद का जो फर्स्ट वाला पार्ट है उसमें जब डिस्क्रिप्शन दिए हुए हैं कि किसकी रेन में क्या बना है, तो आखिर के जो वो है तो उसमें तो उन्होंने रेन किंग जॉर्ज की दी हुई है. So it was how they were living. So we cannot judge people in hindsight. They have to be judged in the context in which they were living. We have to analyze the actions in the context of the period that they were living in and according to whatever was the prevailing norms of that time. हम आज के दिन अगर 200 साल पहले 400 साल पहले के लोगों को आज के उसूलों से जज करें, so that is not right. Even like मैं तो जब कभी बात करती हूँ तो मैं कहती हूँ कि मैंने बचपन में जो मैंने चीजें सोची थी या समझी थी, I said Hudson, बचपन में तो हमारे लिए वो हीरो था भाई एक. But it's only later on when you read and you understand that that no, he was not a hero for us. He was a hero for the British. So, things have to be seen in the context and understood. And that is why studying of history is so important. And studying through proper books.
And in fact, there were people like Nicholson. Nicholson is like one of the villains of he lies buried in the Nicholson cemetery here. Is considered to be one of the villains of 1857. But because of his conduct, the way he was as an officer, उनका तो एक पूरा फॉलोइंग था, कल्ट था, निकाल सेनी बोलते थे.
निकाल सेनी करके. So Hudson तो at least was quite disgraceful the way he killed the बादशाह के बेटों को जिस तरह से उसने मारा and पोतों को जिस तरह से उसने खूनी दरवाजे पे मारा, that was quite a disgraceful act. And then even I used to think that maybe these are part of myths, but Allama Fazle Khairabadi, when he's talking, he says कि ये सर काट के बादशाह के सामने पेश किए गए थे उनके. So and then the bodies were left to rot in the कोतवाली चबूतरा. So all these things are there, and then atrocities शुरू में हिंदुस्तानियों ने करी. They killed a lot of Europeans, including those 56 European women and children who were killed inside the Red Fort. And again, for that is why reading these books are so important. That Zahir Dehlvi भी हैं और लोग भी हैं. They're saying कि उस वक्त बादशाह ने बहुत resist किया था कि do not किसी भी मजहब में ये नहीं लिखा है कि आप मासूमों की जान लें. And that is what Zahir Dehlvi is writing. But even then they were killed. They were killed by the soldiers, and that is one of the biggest him in the trial now. So ये सब बातें हैं, and we have to consider all this when we are talking. Just a sec, my battery is low. I'll put the power bank. And I think we should, we can keep talking forever, but we have already talked over an hour and a half. So we'll wrap it up. What happened to Hudson in later life? In 1858, he died in Lucknow. And as I said,
Siege of Lucknow, mein.
Yeah, boys. And just one last question we'll take. Why were Sikhs so loyal to the East India Company when just 10 years before they were fighting battles with them?
So because it is actually very complicated, it cannot be a simple answer, but the Sikhs were defeated by these Purbaya armies of the Bengal army, so people like Amarpal Sidhu have explained this as a memory of being defeated at the hands of the Purbayas and taking revenge on them when 1857 happens. That may be a very simplistic answer, but I think there were a lot more other things as well, because the Sikh army, what had happened. So once the Lahore court, it lost its prominence after Ranjit Singh, Maharaja Ranjit Singh ke baad. So what happens? There's a period of internal dissension where Jindal Kaur is, I think, pulling the strings, and so the Sikh army, becomes almost like independent. So it has its commanders like Lal Singh and all those people. So, and they invite the company, the Lahore court invites the East India Company to actually invade its territory so that its own army can be defeated, because army jo hai, unka to सातवें आसमान पे सर था उन लोगों का. So that was the feeling. There's a very naive belief that, the British would come, defeat your army, and then restore your kingdom to you. So that was, I think, very, very funny sort of an idea. But it happened. It happened that way. And so pay and benefits were another factor, I'm sure, which played a part. Apart from this, if at all there was any need or any wish to avenge the defeat 10 years earlier. But every sane person at that time would have understood that your better future lay with the British, and nobody likes to fight for a losing cause. Okay, so I suppose that together, I think, would answer your question.
So I think we just end this here. There are no more questions. I'll just end it with a verse from Bahadur Shah Zafar, where, just a second, उनके तो इतने हैं कि बहरहाल, this is one of my favorite Bahadur Shah Zafar verses. Zafar आदमी उसको न जानिएगा, वो हो कैसा ही साहिब फहमो ज़का. जफर आदमी उसको न जानिएगा, वो हो कैसा ही साहिब फहमो ज़का, जिसे ऐश में याद खुदा न रही, जिसे तैश में खौफ खुदा न रहा. जिसे ऐश में याद खुदा न रही, जिसे तैश में खौफ खुदा न रहा. Zafar don't count human, a man, be he a man of understanding and charity, if he doesn't understand God, if he doesn't remember God in moments of happiness or doesn't fear God when he's angry. And that is something that's a creed to live by. So this was Bahadur Shah Zafar, and he was exiled, and he's now in Yangon. His remains, at least. And we are thankful to everybody who's come here. And thank you so much.
Yes, indeed.
We'll continue these conversations even after the lockdown. Till then, be safe, be healthy, and money, whatever message you want to give before we end.
No, I'm actually enjoying these conversations more and more. But every time I get on a Instagram live with you, my network goes kaput. So बीच में मेरा पता नहीं क्या हो जाता है. So it tends to function in a different manner altogether. But I am still enjoying these live conversations that we are having. I think hopefully we have been able to talk meaningful stuff, and thank you very much for engaging with us. And I think this offers a very nice interaction to and offers a window to many of us to express our own views, at the same time learn from what the other person is saying. And also some of your questions are fantastic because they force us to think and think on different lines at times and challenge our own ideas.
It's a very democratic where you're one-on-one.
Absolutely.
You don't have to wait.
Absolutely.
You don't have to pay to go somewhere. You can just sit at home and learn. And I spend a lot of my time listening to the Instagram conversations these days by various scholars from universities. You should explore that because I'm talking to the people who are watching that everybody should explore those conversations that are happening on Instagram. And learn and read वो मतलब हर तरह के हो रहे हैं, खाना पकाने पे हो रहे हैं, कुकरी पे हो रहा है, क्राफ्ट पे हो रहा है, एक्टिंग पे हो रहा है, मतलब दुनिया जहान की हर चीज के ऊपर इस वक्त एक कहीं ना कहीं कुछ कन्वर्सेशन हो रहा है. And we have the way we have worked and the way we have thought, and this is going to be a platform for the future where we will be engaging with people through these kind of mediums. So
right.
Have a safe
Thank you everyone. Really enjoyed.
See you. I'll be on 20th. I'll be in conversation with Moin Mir again on 1857 and how it affected Surat and Shahjahanabad. So I think that again is 5 to 6 o'clock. I'll be posting that. So stay tuned. 20th May. Okay. Thank you. Yes, Anna. It is almost the age of mass enlightenment. That is true.
Thank you. Thank you so much.